Remember the first time I traveled, I prayed and prayed. My eyes were so red, so I had to put on a dark shade. And I got to a corner, and they said they have to check us. Myself and my friend, that we were looking like suspects. Dark shade, dark suit, squeezed face, with briefcase, very, very deadly kind of briefcase. No smile. They said, raise your hand. We took our time. We dropped the briefcase gradually. We now raised our hands like that. They said, no, we can't search you in public. You guys are suspicious. Come to a corner. And I saw the way they were embarrassing my friends, hitting all parts of his body. I was cooking myself in tongues. Bakutete. I said, I've been looking for where to manifest. Let me start here. And they said, take off your suit. Beleduza kushedehe. I took it off. They said, bring it. I gave the first one. It fell under the anointing. So I picked it up. I gave second one. It fell down. I picked up. I wanted to give the third one. He said, wear your suit back. Wear it back. The reason they are ridiculing you is because you are not manifesting. Tell your neighbor, manifest. I was preaching in a certain church. Some young men came there with their girlfriends, and they were with bottle of beer. Stubborn young men came with bottle of beer, and they crossed their leg with cigarettes in their hand. While I was preaching, they were laughing at the back, and they were laughing loud. All of a sudden, the Lord said, there is somebody who can't walk. And one of them turned. It was the younger brother. He said, now today I go know if these things are true. And the Lord said to me, tell them to carry the brother out. And they brought the brother out, and I prayed for the brother in the name of Jesus. He stood up. He took the first step. The guy hollered from the back. He dropped Buddha, but the cigarette was still in his hand. So he was coming close. He was coming close. He forgot that he had cigarette. And his brother began to run. He dropped the cigarette. And he lifted his brother and began to shout. And when he got to the back, his friend said, what of your beer? He said, forget beer matter. Not be beer with the talk now. Your problem is that you are not manifesting. Tell your neighbor, manifest. Say manifest. I was in Sierra Leone the first time I saw the president of Sierra Leone. Before we got to his office, there was a man who, the president of Sierra Leone is from a Muslim family. So there was a man who I met while waiting for him in the waiting room. The man came and he said, what's my name? And I told him. He said, Suleman. That looks like a Muslim name. I said, yes. He said, you are a Christian? I said, yes. He said, shame on you. I said, me? He said, yes. And he began to talk. He began to talk about Islam. I didn't argue. We don't explain, we manifest. He said all kinds of things, talked and talked and talked and talked. And I told him, I said, you are just talking stories. The God you know is far. The God I know is very close. Emmanuel, God is with us. And while he was talking, I said, can I have your hand? And he said, what will happen? Because he was talking to generate crowd. People were coming. And I held his hand. I said, Father, back pain. On the spot, he did like this. And I took my hands off him. I said, sit down. He sat down quietly. And I said, when am I going to see the president? Very soon, when he finishes meeting. Why? Because I manifested. Cook yourself in the spirit and come out in public and manifest. People in the same house with you, somebody is threatening you. Not who get mouth they talk. Close the mouth for just 2 days. There's a way we do this thing, no? Just go on your knees and just arrange that mouth for 2 days. He said, you may not see the wind, you may not see the rain, but the valley shall be full of water. Am I talking to somebody right now? It's time for us to make decrees. Sons don't close their mouth. Sons speak. They say something. Somebody look at you and tell you go see. And you begin to panic that somebody say you go see. The person spoke with the mouth. You have your own mouth. Reply. Somebody say you go see. The person is praying for you. You want blind? You want blind? Someone say you go see. It's a prophecy. Reply. The year 2009. Don't allow your enemies have the final say. Paul manifested. Elijah manifested. Elisha manifested. I'll never forget my mentor, the late Archbishop Idahosa. One thing I learned from that man was manifestation. He manifested. One day when it was then called Christian Faith University, what they call Benson Idahosa University today, it was then CFU. And we were sitting there one day, and some young men came with guns and bullets all over their body. I mean, giant gun, giant size AK-47, and they were all over the place. And the Archbishop was standing, Dr. Chigmundu was standing, some other ministers were standing, and they looked at the Archbishop. They said, "We came to kill you." And he looked at them and laughed. He said, "Small boys." And they continued to do what he was doing. They said, "We are here for you." He said, "I'm coming. Let me finish inspection, then we will talk to ourselves." When he finished, he just turned and said, "Where are the boys?" And they were both, they were coming. And he was moving towards them. When you have gun, you see a man without gun walking towards you, you don't go fear. He looked at them. He said, "I'm going to count to 3. Your bullets will begin to melt. I'll count to 3. All of you will go mad." They began to drop their gun. Say, "Now send us, come on. Now send us." Men that manifest. Men that don't see sickness and run from it. This year, don't allow anything to intimidate you. Be the one that is looking for trouble. Don't let them look for your own. You didn't hear what I said? Be the one that is looking for trouble. Don't let them look for your trouble. You can't see what they are doing to me. Do somebody this year. And the devil make me, it's devil that make. It's time for Satan to say, "It is this man that made me do this thing." It's time to I told myself, I'm going to close so many covens this year. I'm telling you, close so many covens, uproot many roko trees by prayer. Am I talking to somebody? Uproot many trees by prayer. Many years ago, I went into a town in Abeokuta. They call it Shakmon. If you know Abeokuta very well, you know that town. They call it Shakmon. While I was entering, I was in the car with the bishop. God opened my eyes. Inside a big tree, very massive tree, I saw cars. Big tree. I saw houses. I saw matriculation gowns, convocation gowns, wedding gowns. And I said, "Lord, what is this?" He said, "The destinies of the people is in the tree." I said, "What do I do, Lord?" He said, "Bring it down." I said, "This is big." And I turned to the man of God. I said, "God just spoke that this tree has to go down." And the man of God said, "I invited you to preach. Preach and go. Leave tree alone. Leave tree." And I said, "For example, I want to speak to this tree or say something about the tree. Who do I talk to?" He said, "You talk to the Bale. The Bale is like the king of the land." And I said, "I want to see him." He said, "Let me take you to where you put up." I said, "No, let me see the man first." And we went there. Fortunately for me, the Bale was lying down. He had stroke. One part of his body was not working. So I was very happy. Why was I happy? I knew if God can heal that man, He will permit me to do anything. It was a good time. So while I was talking, he was speaking in Yoruba. I didn't know the man understands English. When you see affliction, you forget you are a graduate. The man began to speak in Yoruba, and I said, "Tell him, let's have a deal. We are going to go around that tree and we'll uproot the tree." Because the tree was like the god of the village. They worship. I said, "We'll uproot that tree." And the king said, "The tree is not my problem. Let me stand up. If I can stand and walk, leave tree matter." And we prayed. The Lord healed him. He stood up, moved his hand and his leg. He now drew me to a corner. That's when I knew that he could speak English. He said, "What are you going to use?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "What will you use to cut the tree?" I said, "Just tell me to go ahead." He said, "In 19-something, some missionaries came to cut the tree. While they were using motor saw, the tree began to bring out fresh blood. And people began to cry from the tree. You don't have anything." I said, "Just permit me." And the man permitted. And I told the pastor, I said, "Get some members from your church to meet us at the tree junction." And we got there. I told them to move around the tree. And we took some warfare songs. And I said, "Father, I was told that motor saw couldn't bring down this tree. I knock on the door of thunder. Let thunder blast from the top down to the bottom. Let lightning divide. Let the sun dry up the tree. Am I talking to somebody? Where the tree was before is now a main road. It's a road. A thunder struck, divided the tree from the bottom, and the tree separated, and sun began to dry it up. Where the tree was before is now a road where people pass. But the good news is this: young men began to get married, people began to go to school. Whatever is holding your village and is connected to you, I release thunder. Tell somebody, manifest. I didn't hear you say manifest. You see, two things that God will do. The first one, he said, will manifest an uncommon speed. To manifest, there are two things you must be connected to: the word and prayer. 2009, have a target. Have a target. I told you now in the military there is something called a smart bomb. I told you yesterday. A smart bomb. A smart bomb is configured and designed in such a way that the bomb is programmed. It has a target it's about to mark. The bomb is programmed. No matter what's in front of that bomb, it has been programmed to mark a target. It will escape all the hurdles and hit the target. That is what your prayer does. If you are a prayerful person, you always hit the target, and you must have a target to hit the target. Stop praying 30 minutes, 40 minutes. That is for babies. I recommend for every ordained minister at least 2 hours 30 minutes. For every head of department at least 2 hours. For every member at least 1 hour 30 minutes daily. You are connecting yourself at least 4-5 chapters of the Bible daily. Have a target. Am I talking to somebody right now? My mentor